I'd never before been to Scotland, but it's been on my places to visit for quite some time. Steve had a presentation there for the SSPR, and the President Nick Kyle very kindly offered to accommodate us during our stay. The presentation wasn't until the evening time, which allowed Nick to introduce us to some very interesting and very intriguing places. And first up was the Laurel Hardy Theatre. In this city centre there's a little hidden gem. This is where Laurel Hardy performed. The lady that's been running this place for the last 19 years, who says this place is very haunted, but the spirits do not speak or communicate unless you do something for them. I think I'll skip the tap dance and just see how we get on. In the meantime, just have a quick look at this. The owner told me that the spirits would not communicate unless you entertain them first in some way. I think it's only fair that while I'm here, we see if it is haunted and if any spirits will want to communicate. So I'm here with Steve, Nick Kyle and Jackie. So let's have a quick word with Nick and then we'll see what we can do. Nick. Okay, so I'm here with Nick. So Nick, absolutely amazing building.
It's
very historical.
Not well known. Most shoppers walk past and think of it as just an amusement arcade.
Absolutely incredible. What do you think?
I think it's a place of heritage and history that is not quite a secret, but
didn't you have some
sort of
an investigation here at some point?
Yeah, a number of years ago we investigated it and we found it to be fascinating.
Yeah.
The place has a basement area as well as ground floor stalls and upper circle, right. And they were very atmospheric and we think possibly haunted. The phenomena we experienced, we tried hard to explain away, but we're still left with this feeling it's atmospheric and it has a certain energy.
Okay, so we just spoke to the lady who's been running the place for the last 19 years. Mm-hmm. She said it's very haunted, but her ghosts will not communicate with anyone unless you perform. So, no. Nick,
I don't know if I can do a song and dance.
I was saying, are you up for a quick tap dance or something?
I think soaking in the atmosphere is in itself interesting.
Yeah, it has got that atmosphere to it, but what a place to find at the back of amusement arcade. Mm-hmm. You know,
not many people know about it, but it's becoming well known.
So anyway, what I think we should do, Nick, I think I should. We can't really do an investigation, but I think we should try and take a few recordings over the next few minutes to see if Laurel Hardy. Mm-hmm. If we get one that says that's another fire mess you got me in, I think that'll
burst out laughing.
Yeah, we'll burst out laughing. So we'll be back in a couple of minutes. Yeah. Okay, so that was Nick. I'm actually going to go on the stage now. In the footsteps of Laurel Hardy. So it could be quite interesting. So this is somewhat like the view that they'd have had when they was actually performing, I guess. Oh, and there's Steve Mirror. Steve. Just talking to Nick. Wonderful place, isn't it?
It's a fascinating location. You can tell how old it is, but what's really interesting is how, you wouldn't even know it was here, to be honest.
No, I said to Nick, stuck beyond
it. Its historical value is amazing.
It really is. So what I said is now, I'm going to try and take a few recordings while I'm on the stage. I think it only seems the right thing to do under the circumstances.
Sounds amazing.
So see how we get on, because apparently they don't communicate unless you do a dance or something. So
you might have to do a bit of a jig.
On my first recording and upon playback, this to me at least sounded very much like We Are the Spirits. There is a little entrance leading up here. I'm going to go down there so I can get any recordings. I will be honest, it doesn't feel particularly haunted to me at the moment. Okay, just leaving now. I'm going to try one before we go. Do you know what? I'm not being funny. I don't think this is audio pareidolia, but I'm sure. Oh, Alice with Steve in there. As I made my way out of the theatre, I took a recording. To me, again, he sounds like Don Phillips. Am I hearing things?
I can hear somebody there.
Yeah, I can hear something that sounds like Don Phillips. Tell me that don't say Don Phillips.
That says Don Phillips.
However, Steve wasn't that convinced.
It's a bit vague.
Stand back, stand here.
It's a bit vague. Yeah, but you could be.
But you can hear it. You can...
It's not. I don't.
And I myself couldn't have been 100% sure.
It does sound like it. Are we locked in?
I think we're locked in. We've got to go now. We'll be back soon. But it was now time to move on, and it wasn't long before I picked up another disembodied voice. Okay, so we're just in an alleyway at the side of the theatre, and took a very, very, very strange recording, which I'm going to play it when we get back. Nick says to me something happened the other side of this door, you know, like the side entrance to the theatre. Ed, Mr. Merritt. That recording, mate, was a little bit strange to say the least.
Well, what's important, I think, is the second recording, because there was a couple of people in the alley, and they were talking just amongst themselves very quietly. So by doing the second recording, you can clearly hear that they're talking in the background very quietly.
And it didn't pick up.
It's not. It's something that's
I've not actually said what that recording is yet, Steve. Only this time, what was being said, there was little doubt.
Break some bottles, but it's
A break, yeah, break.
the way the accent is in Scottish.
It is in Scottish, but the other thing is as well, we went to the place early, and I'll play this later as well, and this guy just went sod off. Did he, Steve?
Yeah.
I think Nick was blown away with that one, but we're going to crack on now, so we're just walking around the city centre. Getting quite an interesting day. Anyway, we're now back in the car, we're heading back. Now I'm going to play this rather bizarre recording if I can find it. Hang on. Break some bottles. Check this out, guys. And also, Jackie, we still think that other one says Don Phillips.
No, honestly, it really does sound like...
I think when we go back to quiet environment in the house, we'll play it through the speakers and we'll go from there.
Yeah.
Can I have permission to refer to that in my remarks tonight?
You may.
Okay. But I think the audience would find it...
Hard to digest.
No, they would laugh at the fact that I'm making fun of you coming all the way up from England and you get a message from Spirit, but instead of saying your granny's here or love and light, it says break some bottle.
Okay, we're heading back now. We're going to check a couple of these recordings. We've got a whole lot coming up, so we'll see in a little while. So anyway, we're off to SSPR now for this presentation. Could be interesting. Well, it will be, no doubt. Sorry, next point. It will be interesting. I'm going to catch them all. I'll see you there. This is an extract from Steve's presentation.
Trying to pretend, he doesn't put on a front, he doesn't make it better than it is, he doesn't exaggerate. And I thought I was sceptical. But when I was speaking to him, I thought, oh right, there's other standards of scepticism that are like even more rigorous than mine, and that was a wee bit of a surprise. And yet at the same time he's open-minded, and it's that balance, it's getting that balance. Plus he's friendly with it. But you don't want to listen to me talking about him, you want to hear him. A couple of reasons why I'm excited that he's here. One is he has just come back from Seattle. It was becoming fast one of America's most controversial haunting cases. And he had with him the unique services of somebody who doesn't like to be called a medium. He prefers to be called a paranormal specialist. But he is able to get AVPs, audible voice phenomena, on a handheld dictaphone, almost at will. He'll tell you if the conditions are right, and he gets messages, and he'll tell you if they're not right, and he doesn't bother. And here he's here, Don Phillips. And Don was with me today, and I have to tell this story to get it out of the way. I've been giggling all night. But
you've been threatening that all day.
you can imagine a medium comes along, presses the dictaphone, gets the spirit voice, and the spirit voice says, your Annie's here. Or, you know, I like that change of wallpaper or curtains, and it's not like that with Dawn. Dawn says things like, tell me your name, you know, and he gets information. The person tells him their name, and he can find out information. I've seen him lose a piece of his equipment, and he simply went in spirit and said, where is it? And they told him, and I followed him, and he saw him find it. Here's the thing. I took him to a haunted location in Glasgow today. I didn't tell him that on the other side of the door somebody had been murdered. He went up to the door, he flicked on his handheld dictaphone, and I swear to God, on the machine that had deleted, this is what he got back. Bricks and balls! And that's what it was like. Nothing about love and light in Glasgow. The spirit communicators, I went to take their jacket off and get stuck in. I couldn't believe it. And the voice is there for people to hear if they want. Bricks and balls! I was so embarrassed, I had to apologise for the whole city on the spiritual level. That's what he's capable of doing, and later on, if you've got questions, I think Steve will be okay if they're directed to Don too.
I was aware of Don. He had done some work in the field of paranormal research, and he had also put some details out on the internet, and some videos and some photographs and things like that. And of course, what was really interesting was, you know, lots of people were talking about Don's work. However, for me, I mean, when you see things on the internet, you know, usually things on YouTube, I usually take them with a pinch of salt. And I was introduced to Don at a conference by a gentleman called Brian Allen. And he came up to me, I remember the day very clearly, we shook hands, I said, yes, it's nice to meet you, Don. And then I walked away, never thinking I'd ever see this gentleman again. And it wasn't that long later that I received a phone call from Don asking if I would participate in a project with him regarding investigations of the paranormal. At that, my response was, I'm sorry, Don, I don't really do that sort of thing. Unfortunately, the answer is going to be no. And the reason being is that I don't tend to get involved with paranormal organisations. And they have the tendency to have their own method, their own belief system, their own approach to doing things the way they usually. And sometimes it becomes difficult with working with groups, trying to substantiate incredible evidence to put out there in the field. It's not a comfortable place for somebody who, like me, you know, dealing with people that might be running around with just a camera and a K2 meter in the hand and saying that they're picking all these wonderful things up. So, unfortunately, that was my response. However, Don was quite persistent, and a few days later he contacted me again, and he said to me, please, I'm looking for somebody like you to participate in this project. I asked Don a little bit more what he actually wanted from me, and he wanted not a lot. He just wanted me to go down to Leicester and go to this one location with him, one night, and just see what happens. And I was about to say no again, and when Don turned around and said to me, Steve, you're exactly the guy I need. And I said, okay, Don, if this is the case, and if I find anything hokey, because I'm known for saying it as it is. That's one thing I've always drawn a line on. Absolutely, always say it as it is. And I told him straight. I said, if I find anything hokey, a bit fraudulent, I will put it out there. People will know, and this will not be good for you. I am not the guy for you. And it was that response he said to me. He said, you're exactly the guy I need. That got me inquisitive, so okay, I went down on that one trip. And I went down with a colleague, and I said, don't get too comfortable, we'll only be there for an hour. And we were there for 10 hours. Phenomenal project I'm involved in now. Do check it out on the website. We've been to Seattle. That's the Seattle home. This is from some of the report that has been put together. As you can see, 2002, 12, 13, 14 and 15, the consistencies and inconsistencies regarding phenomena. Yes, there may be something to do with the spring equinox and the summer solstice is there, but then these don't seem to fall into patterns, so nevertheless we're trying to find out explanations. This report is being compiled at the moment, so we're kind of halfway through. It does seem to be having some things going on there. When we first visited, it was more like poltergeist infestation took hold, but with no focus, which is really, really unusual. But then there was kind of elements of haunting phenomena taking place. So what the hell is going on here? And we just couldn't work it out. And the second visit was not like the first visit. In fact, I think we've pretty much done a pretty good job of the first time we've been there. The second visit was just trying to confirm and trying to lend that helping hand regarding the guy who was living there was moving. Was concerned that another family's going to be moving in there and have the same problems. But what we got there was incredible. The audible phenomena, which I have to say, I mean, of course, when you've got a catalyst, this is what I refer to. I know he doesn't like the word medium, but we use Don Phillips as a catalyst. That means that he has the capabilities of communicating. All the guys like to communicate with him, one of the two. But when he came into that location with me, and we took Don to be as a paranormal specialist to help. We ended up. And then you take a 2-second piece of video and then a photograph straight away in each room. 2-second video, photograph. And we do that just because sometimes they differ for some strange reason. Videos and photographs. The video of this on top of the stairs was panning down. There's only one light source in the corner of the room, so we know by the angles. To the photograph, which is completely something different in the photograph as opposed to the video. And they're momentarily taken, 1-2 seconds apart. And what's also interesting is that the angles involved here don't seem to be characteristic with the angle of light. As you can see, they're at a certain angle, the shadows. We've got this unusual shadow here, we don't know what that is. That's the angle I was stood at looking down the stairs. The only lighting source is a lamp on this table over here. So it would seem a little bit strange as to what that is. And I know I was only the one in that location at the time. So again, a mystery. So it's always worth checking out. It's just on the mobile phone actually. These are the recordings that Don's often takes using these types of equipment. Yes, we know the range of them and how they work. Some of the recordings are incredible that he's managed to capture. And you can see the rigorous checks that take place on the equipment that we use. We know the hearing range, how human ears work. It's interesting to know that a test using 3 different recorders can capture 3 different things. How does that work? That we know it's not harmonic. Is what we may refer to as transplacement, possibly. Transplacement, something being purposely placed on that device because they don't all record the same thing, so it can't be harmonic, surely. And we do know how sound-controlled experiments tests have been carried out. Equipment has been shielded with 6 layers of tinfoil, still caught them. It's been under domes, still caught them. It's been wrapped up in silver foil, placed in a plastic container and under 2 feet of water, and caught them. And this is because, I believe, as far as I'm concerned, the catalyst that we utilise on the investigation. And it's also interesting that if it's not harmonic and it's transplacement, how do we hear these things? Sometimes you might hear something and the recorder doesn't record it. That's happened. And it could be down to this part, the inner ear, the cochlea. It is interesting to know that experiments have been, and things have been carried out now, where instruments have been attached to the cochlea of deaf people, and suddenly they can hear. And it's not even utilising the eardrum. It's exactly the same process as far as I'm concerned. If something can stimulate the cochlea here, then you can hear things that is not in the harmonic vein. Things just combusting, strange things being photographed. These photographs taken 6 seconds, 3 photographs in a locked-off location at a time when something was expected to happen because we were alerted by Don Phillips. And yes, the photographs are interesting because in a lock-off position, we don't know what this blackness is here. This black ribbon of light seems to come from along the ceiling. And in the third photograph, which is even interesting, it'll seem the camera's got shunted somehow, but it's in a locked-off location. There's nobody in there. Imagine the process of work having to carry out on this. Thousands of hours were taken out, actually, trying to find out what it isn't. And we know what it isn't. It isn't something flashing around in front of the camera. And there's been lots of different things that people ask us, just to finish up on. People always ask, what questions and responses have we had? Because we have got to the point now, when utilising the catalyst, which is absolutely incredible. I mean, if you have any questions for him at the end, guys, just have a word with him. But I mean, just as he's demonstrated today, one click and he can record and he gets them. I have no explanation. I can't find a explanation. You won't hear that come from a guy like me very often in the field. After 33 years, I've come across something I can't explain. I've no idea how he does it. Nevertheless, though, you can imagine how helpful that can be on the investigation when you can go in and you can go click. Oh, I know what it is because you've just said. Wonderful. Some of the questions and responses that we've had. You know, does hearing exist? What is it? What's the process of death? What limitations and advantages do we have as spirits? Do we age, feel the cold, sleep, hunger? You know? Are we controlled, governed? Do demons exist? Is there God? Can you see into the near future? Do angels and aliens exist? Do you know, I could spend the next hour telling you all these responses, you know, and explaining to you what they've sold us and things like that. It's absolutely fascinating. I'll just leave you with a couple. Apparently, yes, they do feel the cold. That's probably why they like to hang around in houses so much. And yes, they do sleep. Well, apparently, when you ask the question, the response comes when they get a chance. You know, it's incredible what we can obtain when you've got a catalyst that can obtain communication levels at that degree. I've never heard of it since the early days of ITC, and I'm sure you haven't. And there's lots more to come in Phenomena Project to cover this. If you need to know more, go to the Phenomena Project website, phenomenaproject.tv. Details about there regarding the episodes that are going to be going out. And also the Phenomena Magazine's website, which also covers details about Phenomena Project. And I thank you for your time. I hope you enjoyed it.
Okay, folks, we have a few minutes, and I would invite people who have questions that can't make the pub, because if you come to the pub, Steve and Dawn and Jackie are coming to the pub too. I've been pleased to spend yesterday with them, and today I'm looking forward to spending some of the weekend, both with our catalyst and with Steve's lovely partner. Thank them for coming up from Manchester in the case of Steve and Jackie, and from Leicester in the case of Dawn, and coming badger them in the pub, because you can learn a lot more from both of these guys.
But I would prefer if you call me Don instead of Catalyst.
Show our appreciation, I think.
The presentation was a success and played to a full house. It was time for a little indulgence.
We're here in Inverkip, near Glasgow, in Scotland. And Nick has been very nice and let us come and stay at his location. And we've been here for the last few days and prospectively looking at a location where alleged paranormal disturbances are taking place. It's a very interesting hall. What do you know about this hall, Nick?
Not very much. It's been in the ownership of the Shaw Stewart family for about 600 years. It's a lovely looking house and a beautiful and large estate, but I didn't realise that it had a haunting associated with it, and they've recently been thinking about doing ghost tours. So it did seem to be bizarre that it was right on my doorstep, whereas I was visiting locations all over Scotland for investigations of hauntings. Well,
I mean, we paid what we might refer to as a little pre-investigation visit for a couple of hours yesterday, which was enlightening. I mean, we took Don with us. Yeah. They were very nice to show us around the location for a couple of hours. Very large place, certainly requiring some work, but full of history, and apparently numerous events which have been reported to have taken place there, including the sighting of an alleged apparition. And what about those voices, Nick?
On a digital recorder that's had its files deleted, so it's not pre-recorded. What's interesting to me is that sometimes, although we can't hear anything when we're standing right beside them, there are clicks and vocalisations on the tape recorder. Now, quite often you can tell it's a human voice whispering or saying something, but you've no idea what. What's really intriguing is when you know it's a human voice and you can say, without being prompted, what is being said. Real voices and words, and I can pick up, with my background in English teaching, I can pick up accent and maybe even dialect and age, ethnicity maybe, but certainly gender, and that level of clarity is surprising. What I found interesting, apart from its seen around the historical building, was a kind of sense of a presence sometimes, and big differences in temperature fluctuations, even in the space of walking across a room or walking along a hallway, and certainly atmospheric, a strong sense of place, and I wonder to what extent being in the house contributes to feelings about the house. What's intriguing is Dawn can sometimes give answers on the recorded media, but live, for people who have been in that location for years and has had lots of questions but never had the answers.
I think also what was really interesting is that at some point he just suddenly stopped and he said, "Did you just hear that?" And we didn't hear anything, and he said, "I'm sure I heard just the name Carol or Harold or something like that." Because his recorder was recording, he plays back and you hear what sounds like a voice saying Carol or Harold, which was quite intriguing.
Yeah, I think what my feeling about it is this is intriguing and it's worth exploring and studying further, and I would be wanting to consider maybe a technical analysis of the vocal qualities to check, and maybe do some kind of survey whereby we get people who are not involved in the project to see what the voices are without us having to prompt them.
Exactly. Yeah, that should be really intriguing. And of course, there has been quite a number of EVPs that have recorded, not your regular EVPs that you'd normally hear in regarding paranormal phenomena. Nevertheless, though, some excellent ones were captured.
Ardgowan Hall certainly looks the part, with its beautiful landscapes, tall ivy-clad walls and enticing eeriness. And the old chapel, a victim to its long-standing history. Battles from the likes of people like Robbie the Bruce, the witch hunts of the 1800s, all offering enticing glimpses into the window of the past. With reports of paranormal activity, the big question was it haunted? We had just 1 hour to find out. We've just arrived to investigate this fantastic place, this fantastic hall. We're going to have a very brief chat with Ludwig, and there's Jackie, there's me, there's Steve, and there's Nick, so let's see what tonight brings. So what's your thoughts on this whole thing that we're doing this evening?
Well, I'm very interested in it because I've lived in this house for 32 years.
32 years?
I've seen ghosts here and heard a lot of ghosts.
Oh, you've seen ghosts here?
So I'm very aware of the sort of spiritual things of this house, really. And I'm interested to know what else there is which I haven't yet discovered.
Fantastic. Nick? Oh, sorry.
I mean, I think it's got an enormous history, this place. And my mother, who was incredibly psychic, had a great difficulty with our garden because so she used to find it terribly sad because it's obviously a battlefield. And we've had strange experiences down on the shore where we've had photographs taken with, just a photograph of a blank space which has turned out to have a knight standing in it.
Really?
Chainmail and strange.
How interesting.
Things from photographs that have been taken there. Okay. So I think it's an interesting place. If it's a really good place for studying the paranormal because there's a hell of a lot going on here, and or poltergeist experiences and ghosts. Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you.
I'm very aware of a sense of place and how suggestible that can be for people's experiences. If you take someone into a place that you're told is haunted, it raises their awareness and perhaps the powers of
and their expectation
to take over.
Yeah.
However, I'm also open-minded to the possibility of paranormality, and I do find it more than intriguing, but quite fascinating, that you can take a quiet space and produce on a blank dictaphone vocal recordings which are difficult to explain.
Almost immediately, some very strange events began to unfold.
That's not me calling.
That's not you calling?
That's not me calling.
Well, I'm not calling.
Who's calling me walkie-talkie?
That's a call.
Can you just put yours down?
You need the camera on leash.
There it is. Where's the other one?
No, the other one's in my pocket there.
No.
That's not even switched on.
That's not even on.
Who or what was it that rang Steve's walkie-talkie?
It's gone off. It's gone off completely.
Did you switch it off?
No.
I didn't.
Well, these are fresh batteries. We can do that. Okay, interesting there, Steve.
Okay.
That's all we can say is it's interesting, but it is certainly interesting. I then turned on my walkie-talkie, and again, it acted as though receiving a call.
Okay.
Can I ask you a question?
Are you calling me? You're not calling me, are you?
It's off.
It's not mine ring.
It's off.
Mine's switched off.
You need this on camera, just out of curiosity.
Mine's switched off. It's not powered on.
First of all, it's
Where does it
yours.
come from?
That,
Is there any number on
no, it's walkie-talkie.
They just
That is
communicated.
completely switched off.
Okay.
Okay, that's again. Hello.
Clicking coming from the light unit.
Sorry.
Clicking coming from the light unit.
There's one.
Clicking coming from the light unit.
Click it.
Yeah, I can hear the clicking.
Well, you ignore it. We'll just carry on. Just carry on. Just carry on. If you want me to stay here and speak with you, then I just need something loud on there. Otherwise, we will just move on. If let me ask you a question. In this, around this building, is there something? Is there something that's maybe hidden, which is very significant to the family? I don't mean deliberately hidden, something we're not aware of, or something may not even be visible walking around. Is there anything in the garden area very, very significant which you feel may be of interest? The conditions outside were not bad, but it wasn't perfect. We got thick cloud, it was cold, and it was actually quite damp. But we still managed to pick up some vocal responses. Much to the surprise of the onlooking guests, Nick immediately started to check the recorder. Just check the phone. Oh, you can hear that from there? I'll put it one more time.
Now you've got you.
Yeah.
It's very strange.
Sorry, excuse. Can I look at the phone number?
Check the recorder.
And can you, Don, can you just identify the file for us?
It's the last one on there.
Folder E.
Folder E.
Do you want to check the recorder?
I'm just looking here for the reference.
The first recording. The very first one.
No, I'm looking for the reference recording you just made there.
Oh, it's 10.
So we've got a
It's
number.
number 10, to the right hand side.
At the very top.
Yeah, top right, number 10.
Okay, so that's number 10. So the next one, number 11.
Number 11, yeah.
Okay,
So I'm
and
just gonna
that wasn't there when we checked the recorder earlier. This is a new file.
Yeah, this is just literally, because we just checked this prior to actually starting, didn't we, as you came back. So let's put it on 10. Sorry, 10. Right. And then there's nothing actually after that, because we're not taking that recording yet.
And there have been no transfers between different files?
Well, no, it's on camera, Steve. It was very close when
The
I was... when I was
recording took place out of his hand. It was placed on the tabletop and he pressed record and stood away from the keyboard.
I've just pressed record, stepped away, stop and play. That's actually on the camera for
We've
review.
got
This is
that,
why we've
yeah.
got the camera to do that.
That's why I went right close up.
His speed on with the garden. So I think I've got
Well,
a
just-
little bit aggressive.
Well, if you like, I'll just do one or two more here very quickly and then I'll go straight into the garden because you need to be with me. The 1 hour window of opportunity quickly passing, we decided to go outside. During our short time at Ardgowan House, I managed to catch up with Sir Ludovic and play him a couple of the recordings that we'd captured during the investigation.
I live alone in this house, and so I'm quite accustomed to being in this house without anyone else.
Yeah.
And it just so happened that I was walking along a corridor and I came across someone else.
Someone else?
Someone else.
As in someone else that's not supposed to be there, I presume?
Someone I can't account for.
As in the non-physical kind of someone else?
It felt pretty physical.
Okay, okay.
It was, yeah, I was walking along and in the torchlight that I was holding a torch, I saw an old man walk across my path and he had a limp in his right leg. So his gait was all off. And when I saw him, my first thought was there was someone in the house.
Well, no, but did you not ring the caretaker and say there's somebody in the house, didn't you?
I did, so I stopped dead in my tracks and,
Yeah.
and as my brain was trying to process it, I phoned up the caretaker who I'd just been with, and so he was all of 30 seconds already. And he came back and it's interesting because in that time in between I'd been looking intently at the spot that I'd seen this person, and the spot that I'd been looking at became completely obscured by my breath because the temperature must have
Really?
dropped by about 10 degrees.
What about as well? You actually had a flashlight, didn't you?
I had my phone and I was using
Your phone. So it wouldn't be a case of you seeing things in the dark or anything.
I wish it was. I went back there and I tried to recreate it, but whatever I saw was moving in the wrong direction and had as much physical presence as you do.
Right, now when we came around yesterday, I took a little walk around, we took some very interesting recordings in a very short period of time. There is one recording, I did mention to you that there is things that I have the definition of AVP, actual voice phenomena, which is different to an EVP because it is actually, sounds like physical human speech. I'm going to play that for you now.
Oh, you haven't got a ear for this. No.
You will hear this guy say, sod off, it couldn't be any more apparent, to be quite honest.
Play it again. Can you play it again?
So one question remained, is Ardgowan House haunted? I certainly think so, but you decide.